You think your doctor screwed up big time, causing you significant harm and injury. And now you want to go to an attorney to see whether or not you actually have a valid basis for a case. So you find the best attorney you can, and he tells you, listen, I have to get all of your medical records and send them out to a medical expert. And you say, terrific, that's great. I want to speak to the medical expert, you say, because I have all these details that the medical expert needs to know that is not contained in my medical record. Can you, as the injured patient, actually go ahead and speak to the medical expert that the attorney wants to review your records? You want to know the answer? Come join me for a moment as I share with you some great information. Hi, I'm Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury attorney. The answer is absolutely not. You cannot speak with the medical expert. Why not? Because we want our medical expert to go ahead and come to a conclusion without any interference from you. We want our expert to reach a conclusion about whether or not you have a valid basis for a case based on what? Based upon only your medical records. All of your medical records, all of the necessary medical records. Now, why is that? Because this entire case will be proven. We are going to use your medical records to prove your case, to show that we are more likely right than wrong, that what we are claiming is true. That number one, the doctor was careless. Number two, that his carelessness was a cause of your injury. It doesn't have to be the cause. And that your injuries are in fact significant and permanent. And how are we going to do that? We're going to do that using your medical records. And we're going to use that with our medical expert. So now, as an injured patient who's coming to an attorney to evaluate their case, you're thinking, but wait a second, there's so many details that the medical expert needs to know about conversations that I had, about things that happened, about how I was feeling. And you know what? I understand your need or desire to go ahead and tell the medical expert all of these things. But the reality is, we are required to show that number one, the doctor was careless. And we do that using the doctor's own medical records or the hospital records. We don't do that typically with information gained from the patient. Number two, we have to show that the doctor's carelessness caused you harm and injury. And how do we do that? Again, we don't do that using information that you provide. Instead, we do that using the medical records. Now, when your attorney meets with you, he's going to gather a lot of information from you and get all the details. And that's your opportunity to go ahead and tell your attorney everything that happened, everything that you remember. But just to evaluate your particular case, we want the expert to go ahead and give us an independent expert opinion based solely on the medical records. Now, you should know that if, in fact, you do have a valid basis for a case and we start a lawsuit on your behalf, you know what happens then? The defense, after they gather all of your medical records, they do the same exact thing that we do, which is to gather all of your medical records and then to send them out to their own medical expert. They don't have their medical expert talk to the doctor. They don't have their medical expert talk to you. Instead, what do? They have their medical expert review all of your medical records to do what? To see whether or not their doctor, their client, violated the basic standards of medical care. And did those violations, assuming that they were there, did they cause or contribute to your injuries? And if so, how bad are your injuries? So, to go back to the original question I raised in this video, can you talk to the medical expert to give your input and to hopefully sway him to show that you have a valid case? And as I described earlier, the answer is no, you can't. So why do I share this information with you? I share this with you because this question comes up often when an injured patient comes into the office and says, listen, I want to talk to the medical expert because there's so much information that's not contained in these medical records that they need to know about. So now you know the answer. You know, I do understand you have questions or concerns about your own matter. Well, if your matter did happen here in New York and you have not yet gone to an attorney and had your records reviewed and evaluated and still have questions, what I invite you to do is pick up the phone and call me. You know, I answer questions like yours every single day and I'd love to talk to you. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at oginski-law.com. That's it for today's video. I'm Gerry Oginski. Have a great day.